Funny.
Hello, Hebrews and Shebrews. We are live today with no other than Yoseph Haddad, the one and the only, the first of for his name. Such an honor, Yosef, to have you with us. Thank you for doing
Mutual
that.
honor.
And Abu Rafi, who did a secretive operation a stealth operation from Israel to Germany to meet his son's graduation from the forest kindergarten, which
Yes,
I have
yes.
no idea what's that, but
I
still
have no
sounds
idea
impressive.
how did I end up in a German Air Force Luftwaffe airplane flying all the way. We had missiles landing on the way to the airplane. We had to run to bomb shelters, and then we strapped in red lights, flying to Germany. All of this so I can reach my kids. So I'm thankful to the German government. But without further ado, just like how you
Unbelievable.
said,
Unbelievable.
everybody here already probably knows Yusuf. For those of you who don't know Yusuf, he's a proud Israeli Arab Christian who is strongly advocating for the state of Israel, for peace and unity, for real peace. The ones that you people in the West, many don't understand what it means. And right now we have a beautiful moment here where we have two Druze and a Christian Arab from Israel, three Arabs from Israel coming to give you the best insight that we have about what's happening. So, Yusuf, thank you for coming. And I want to just jump in straight with a question. Our Christian brothers, you're Christian. We have Christians right now in Syria. They've just
Yep.
suffered terrible suicide
Terror
bombing
attack.
attack.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit of what's happening and what do you think should or would be happening with the Christians in Syria?
Well, first of all, we need to talk about it because I see that even here in Israel, we need to talk about it. I always say that Israel must be a part of the Middle East. Despite the fact that we are the only democratic state in Israel, in the Middle East, despite the fact that we are only the Western country in the Middle East, we must understand that if we want to be an integral part of the Middle East, we have to also address issues like what's happening in Syria, because I've heard condemnation from across the entire world and of course the Middle East. And I'll tell you also who condemned the attack. You will be very, very, very not surprised, but you will laugh. Who condemned the attack? Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of a hint: a terrorist organization. But we'll talk about it in just a few moments. What I do want to say is that let's talk about what happened in Syria, because Israel must be part of it. Israel must also show that Israel as a country is part of the Middle East. And that's why Israel should have addressed and condemned, despite the fact that we are in a war and we are being attacked in multiple fronts. But this is our way to show, hey, we are in the Middle East, and in fact, we are leading the Middle East. So just to clarify to everybody who is not updated, there was an attack on a church called Mar Elias in Damascus in Syria. Due to that attack, 22 Christian Syrians, Arabs, were killed, and another 63 were injured, different type of injuries. But this attack was committed according to the Syrian Defense Office by ISIS. And this is something that it's been happening through the history of the Middle East across all the Arab countries. And in fact, if we want to talk for real, do you know in which country the Christians are the safest? Despite the fact that you have minorities who are racist and who attack Christians here in Israel, Israel is the safest country in the Middle East for Christians. And I say it as an Arab, as a Christian, and as an Israeli.
I will even add Israel is the safest country for Druze as well in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Any minority.
Absolutely. Now saying that, Mansour, saying that, it does not mean that we do not have issues here. Nothing is perfect. Just like nothing is perfect in America and nothing is perfect in Europe, we do have racists existing in our society, in fact, in any community in our country. But the fact is, they are minority. And because they are minority and they make themselves look like and sound like majority, a lot of the people use that and attack and bash Israel. No, they are not the majority. They are minority. And one of our problems is we're not able to bring all the voices, the reasonable voices, to come together and to stand against those minorities. One of the reasons why we're not doing it is because those extreme minorities in our country, when they act with such violence that really terrifies a lot of my community. I know that because from this morning, I've been getting messages from Arab Christians saying, Yusuf, we should talk about it. We should do something about it. And I say, do you want to talk about it with me? I said, no, I don't want to be in the camera. I'm afraid. And this is one of our problems. So no, I'm not saying Israel is perfect. I'm not saying that there is no racism or discrimination here. Do not understand that from me. But what I do say in a general idea, Israel is the safest country in the Middle East for all its minorities, and I believe that together we can make it even safer and much more secure. This is the situation. Regarding Syria, I heard so many condemnations, but nobody is actually acting. And as I said already, I give you a little bit of a hint of who also condemned that. Hamas condemned the attack. The terrorist organization who abuses Christians in Gaza, condemned the attack. Like, the level of hypocrisy is unimaginable. And further than that, the people who are actually clapping for Hamas and saying, oh, thank you for condemning that, are even more stupid than Hamas themselves. Okay? Because you yet again, you think that because they said something nice and they condemned the attack, it makes them not terrorists. They're the worst terrorists and the worst kind of monsters. I don't call them even human beings. And regarding the Palestinian Authority, and by that I will end this about what happened in Syria, unless you guys have another input. But regarding the Palestinian Authority condemned that as well. If you want truly to know what the situation of Christians under the Palestinian Authority, don't go further than Bethlehem. You don't need to go to Ramallah. You don't need to go to Jenin. Go to Bethlehem. Here is the statistic for everybody. Under the Israeli rule, when Israel controlled Bethlehem, there were about 80% Christian in Bethlehem. Once Israel, because of the Oslo Accords, gave Bethlehem to the Palestinian Authority, today the Christians are less than 15% in Bethlehem. That itself should be the evidence to how the Christians are treated and their situation under the Palestinian Authority, and definitely under the ruling of the terrorist organization Hamas. And listen to this carefully. I cannot say the names because I don't want to put them in jeopardy. Until today, they are in Gaza, and I'm in direct contact with them. I spoke with Christians. Specifically also when Hamas said that Israel targeted a church in Gaza. While Israel did not target a church, Israel targeted a building next to, very close to the church. And in fact, the church was not even hurt. And the people from there sent me footages ensuring me that the church was not damaged. But here's the thing. Hamas uses churches for their terror activities. They're using mosques for terror activities. Of course, they're using their hospitals, and we have countless evidence, videos of that. Not like the Iranian regime when they make fake AI photos of Soroka Hospital and put out tanks under the hospital, like
a submarine under
and the submarines. And the submarines. So all I'm saying is that eventually Israel, so we wrapped up the hypocrisy of some of those who condemned this. I was happy to see other Arab countries and Arab nations such as Egypt and Jordan and Bahrain and the Emirates condemn that attack very harshly. This is something very important for the Middle East. But when you have idiots and terrorists like Hamas and others who condemn that, and I see other people actually saying, oh my God, this is amazing, this is absolutely makes me really furious to see how idiot they are. And again, the last thing is Israel must be in the picture. Israel must condemn that. The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, must go and say, listen, this is not acceptable. You need to make sure that your people are safe. We Israel made the revolution happen. So we need also to make sure that the Syrian people are safe, because we can gain so much from it. Because then they will see that Israel don't want to attack the Syrians, don't want to attack Arabs, don't want to attack Lebanese, but they want to be in peace, and they also are in their interests. This is very important for Israel's security to become a major empire, in the Middle East, and show that they are part of the Middle East. So I hope that I kind of explained the situation regarding the church and what we should do. Again, we condemn that. This should not happen. And I hope that the Syrian government will do absolutely everything, although I am not fully convinced, because Christians are being persecuted for so long there. But I hope that they will do absolutely everything to ensure the safety of it. And yes, I will repeat it. As a Christian, I'm so lucky to live in Israel.
Amen,
Well,
brother.
amen, of course. And, you know, in a way, you said a lot of things that we take here for granted, but people in the surrounding places don't see it, like the freedom of minorities and etc. I want to touch base on what you said regarding Bethlehem and places like that, because while we, the Druze community, from the beginning of the state of Israel, we chose sides. We entangled our life with the state of Israel, but with the Christian community, which has a lot of similarities between the Druze and the Christians. Me personally, I see me and Mansour, we talked before the broadcast, and he said, yeah, there's a bit of a split, but I don't see it as a split. It's like almost bipolar, because even today in Ramallah's demonstration, you still have a priest going in the front lines demonstrating against Israel. So how do you explain this phenomena? I
Well,
don't
can we
feel like
say can we say on air bullshit?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. Absolutely.
Listen, guys. Let me tell you something. The amount of Christians, specifically in the West Bank, under the ruling of the Palestinian Authority in East Jerusalem as well, they have no choice. No choice. And in fact, I know some of the priests. Some of them are completely hypocrites. And I'm a son of a priest, yeah? So trust me, it is not very easy for me to speak not nicely about priests in the Middle East, in the world, yeah? Because I'm a son of a priest. But I cannot be silent, and I cannot stop saying the truth. Some of those priests are, you know, how can I refer it I'm trying to be as much as possible respectful, because again of my religion and of course my father and my community. But some of the priests are the most hypocrite, unloyal, and sellout priests that I've seen in my life, because they know the truth. They know the truth. They know also during the Second Intifada how terrorists, Palestinian terrorists, occupied the church in Bethlehem and endangered the church, because Israeli forces were not going to let it go. There are terrorists. So they went and they even kept some of the priests hostages. After that, what do you think? The priest is going to say, oh, I was a hostage, but he's going to keep living in the West Bank. He's going to keep living in East Jerusalem. So if you expect the priest after that to go and say, oh, yes, I was a hostage, and then keep living there, this is not a possibility. So they have to play the game. So it's split to two. There are priests who keep silent and they don't say anything, despite the fact that they know the reality and the truth. And you have the sellouts who knows the truth, yet they speak out as if they are the most pro-Palestinians in the world. So we have to take everything in consideration. There's a lot of problems in the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority. You just need to go to speak to priests and the Christians without any cameras. If you speak with them without any cameras, you're going to listen and hear the truth.
Yeah.
Put the camera back on, you're going to hear a completely different dialogue, completely different conversation. So this is why I'm saying, do not believe everything on the surface, because some priests have no other choice but to say what they need to say. A minority of priests say what they say and they gain from it, whether it's a position or even money. I don't really know. I don't have the facts. I like always to talk with facts. So this is only a suggestion. I don't know for sure. But one thing I know for sure is, because I met many Christians in the West Bank, and of course I speak to many Christians in Gaza. Not that there is a lot of Christians in Gaza, and of course priests. I know the reality, and the reality is they will tell you something completely different in your face than on camera. So that's why just be advised about that, and do not believe immediately everything. And as for the Christians in Israel, okay, the same idea when it comes to speaking in front of the cameras. Let me tell you something. Since this morning, I was bombarded with hundreds and hundreds of messages from the Christian Arab community here in Israel. And they are asking me and telling me, Yusuf, you're the only one who is speaking our voices. You're the only one who's saying it out loud. So they're begging me to say exactly the position that I said one by one, what I've told you in the last 15 minutes. So you understand that they want that, but they're afraid to speak about it. We should talk about the point why they are afraid to speak about it. And they're afraid to speak about it. And you can ask me, because I've been going through a lot of shit in the last 8 years because of the fact that I'm speaking out loud. The extremists, despite the fact that they are a minority, they've been attacking me from 2018 since I opened my mouth. When they saw that it didn't work, they started attacking my people in my organization and then my personal friends, and then they attacked my family to the level where they broke my mom's hand. Now, my mom did nothing. And they attacked her and attacked my family because they are the family of Yoseph Haddad, and Yoseph Haddad who speaks what is on mind and without any breaks. That's exactly why the majority of Christians are afraid.
They physically attacked your mom.
Dude, they broke her hand. We went to the hospital and she had a casket on. They literally attacked my family, 14 members of my family, and while I was there. And they said they're attacking us because of me. Wow. So you understand what we're going through. Anybody who just slightly start speaking about what's going on and share the truth and share the reality, the only way that they can deal with it is not through dialogue or even debate. They can't debate facts. They can't debate reality. So the only way that, and certainly they cannot handle my style. Okay? So the only way that they can in a way tackle me is by attacking what's most precious for me, which is my family.
And it's always emotional discourse, because, I always laugh about it. Like, if you talk about facts, like Israel compared to the surrounding countries, is like comparing a Ferrari to like Lada, 1970 Lada from
you
the
know
Soviet
what
Union.
Ehud Barak said one time when he was a prime minister. Israel is like a villa in a jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
exactly.
In Jurassic Park, with dinosaurs running outside and eating each other. Here's the thing, and they call Israel an apartheid, just like Yusuf here mentioned. Christians in Gaza are diluted. The numbers are going down. The Christians in Syria, numbers are going down. The Christians in Lebanon, numbers are going down. The Christians in Israel, numbers are going up. The same with the Druze. The Druze in Israel, numbers are going up. In Syria and Lebanon, all these places are going down. They're afraid. They're oppressed. And I want to also make this very clear to anyone who's watching right now. I'm a Druze. Khalifa is Druze. And we are here with Yusuf, who is a Christian. We're all Arabs in Israel. And we stand strong and tall with the Christians in Syria. You are not alone. The Druze community is with you. Keep your head up. And I want to also leave a prayer for every Christian right now that is living under an oppressing Muslim country. Stay strong. And I really hope, just like Yusuf said, that the world will wake up to know that they are the benchmark if that country is actually doing good or bad. See how they treat the minorities. I can go in Israel freely and criticize my government. Yusuf can do that freely. We do that. We go
do
in
that.
Israel.
We absolutely do that.
Right, left, and center. And we stand, and it's our country, and we love it. Why? Because we're safe. But in these places, they can't keep their mouth. They can't open their mouth. And you can either have hypocrites, like some priests will go, or some of them are just out of fear for the community. They wear a big responsibility for the community, and they know if he will speak the truth, him, his family, and his community might be annihilated, just like we're seeing in Syria.
Absolutely. And think about it. This is happening in other Arab countries where there is no democracy, and especially in the West Bank and Gaza. It's happening also here in Israel by the minority extremists. And Israel is a very strong country, and Israel has a strong police and strong government. But the fact is that they're allowing themselves to have the same mentality and the same act in Israel. It just shows you how they're not afraid. They're not afraid because they don't care. They never cared. They want only to do one thing, which is make sure that voices like ours, like Mansour, like Khalifa, like mine, are never heard. Why? Because if they come to tackle us, we will butcher them. And we will butcher them not in a way of a physical way or a fight or whatever it is. No, just with facts. I always like to say, they like to use emotions. We like to use facts with a little bit of emotions, because I'm an emotional guy. And that's why facts don't care about your emotions. Facts do not care about your emotions. I will repeat it for the third time. Facts don't care about your emotion. Understand that, put that in your head, because when you bring facts to the table, you cannot argue unless those facts are not true and you bring the real facts. Guess what? Until today, every time I had a debate, every time I encountered any anti-Israeli useful idiot, until today, no one managed to encounter my facts. So here I'm giving every anti-Israel person an opportunity. Come debate me. Come debate me with the facts that you have. And if you win, kudos for you. I'm done. Guess what? You're not. Because I will not lie. I will bring the facts. And if you actually have a fact, and it's a fact, I will agree to it, and I will tell you how we can resolve that and how we can solve that together. Because as I said, now you might have anti-Israel people are watching this conversation and listening to us, and then they're gonna take what we said, for instance, and then they put a singular incidents that happens in Israel, and they will show it as if it's the common thing that happens here. This is what they do. That's what they mislead other people when they focus only on the bad things, and the more they focus on the bad things, the more they show that it's the majority of the time. No, just people just sharing more bad things, more negative things. That doesn't mean that this is the situation. And in fact, quite the opposite, because we're speaking from our own experience, each and every one of us. And this is something that we must say. And allow me one last sentence, because we're speaking about the Druze community and we're speaking about the Christian community. But I do have to speak also about the Muslim community here in Israel. And the Muslim community here in Israel, yes, as like any other community, you have extremists. And because of the fact that Muslims in Israel, there are 1.6 million. So let's, for instance, say that the Druze community and the Christian community have 5% to 10% extremists. Then you will have about 10 to 15,000 people are extremists from 140, 150,000 Christians and 150,000 Druze. But then you have 1.6 million Muslims. Take the same percentage, 5 to 10%. We're talking about 150 to 200,000 people. And that's why the number is larger, but the percentage is the same thing. And this is why there's a bit of a misleading and misunderstanding. And as we speak right now, I know about Muslim soldiers in Gaza fighting alongside Christian soldiers and Druze soldiers, and of course Jewish soldiers, in order to bring back the 50 hostages that are still in Gaza and destroy the terrorist organization Hamas. And we should also say that because the Muslims who want to be part of the Israeli society, what the extremists, who are large in number despite the same percentage, they are the one who's actually making the voices of the reasonable Muslim community irrelevant. Just like, you know who? The Muslims in Europe. Because the Muslims in Europe, a lot of them wanted to run away from a dictatorship, and then they brought the extremists in Europe, the most vicious monster people who were actually part of the dictatorship in the Middle East and part of the twisted, sick mentality of the Middle East, and they brought it to the West. And what they do? They bring the same shit and doing it in the West, and the West is not doing anything because they're using the same method. They will say, oh, you're attacking us, then you're attacking all Muslims, then you're Islamophobe. You're attacking us, then you don't want us to have a freedom of speech. But what's so unbelievable is that when we, all of us here right now in this podcast want to have a freedom of speech, we can't have it. It's only one way. Yeah. And this is something I cannot agree and I cannot accept. And that's what governments around the Western world must understand.
Yeah,
if you actually want... Yeah,
I will just to leave... Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
I'll add, I'm an Arab living in Europe, and I can tell you right now that what Yosef said is on steroids. Arabs in Europe feel less safe, the peaceful one, to speak out than in Arab countries. This is insane. Why? Because here, Europeans will shame us, will call us Islamophobes, and the Muslims, the radical ones, will come and hurt us. So I have so many Muslim friends here in Europe that are terrified. They're terrified of speaking more than they will be in a Muslim country. And I know if something happened to me and my family, I can't count on the police or the neighbors. It's gonna happen. The police will come always after. And while I will, try to tell them, they will call me an Islamophobe because they brought these radicals who are literally like gangs roaming in the streets here. And making everybody
And they
afraid.
are hurting the
Yeah.
the peaceful majority of Muslims who wanted a new life, but they become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. And,
Yeah.
and again, we must understand that we have a job, by the way. All of us.
Hey, we lost the
All of
sound.
us, we have an important job. Khalifa Mansour and me, I'm telling you,
I
and
hear
other
you. I hear you.
activists.
Continue. I hear you. I think Khalifa lost our sound.
So what I'm saying, we have an important job because our voices, because we are not afraid, and because I really can see how brave you guys are, and you are brave. And since I got to know you guys and follow your work, and of course people do not understand. Also, I follow your work and I present it also on TV because I like your work so much. I put it on the Israeli TV as well because you're doing a magnificent job in bringing the reality and the truth. So all I just wanted to say is that you guys have a very important job to keep doing what you are doing, because if there is a chance to change the thinking of a Western, it's you guys, it's us. So
Amen,
really,
brother.
thank you very much for doing that. And by the way, it gives me also a lot of confidence to continue do what I do, because I see more and more voices are with us.
Well, you're such a... Sorry, I must say, because I had a technical issue, so I lost a bit of what you said. But first of all, you're such an inspiration for a lot of us. I saw debates, your debates in Oxford and places like that with Hassan Mus'ab Youssef. It's like debating the Israeli-Palestinian case in Ramallah. It was so hostile as an environment. And the funny thing about it, like if you look at it, you have Muslims or Arabs or Middle Easterns fleeing their countries to Europe. I say it's like my olive tree thesis. I say if you have an olive tree, it will be ridiculous to think that it will have a mango fruit out of it. So those people flee their failing countries, and now they try to, in the Western world, they try to do what they did in their failing countries, and somehow, exactly.
Khalifa, let me be more obvious or more straightforward than you. They literally bring their own shit from the Middle East to Europe and have the same shit that they had in the Middle East. That's the truth.
And they bathe in that shit. They bring it and they make bathtubs in that shit. They spread it all around. It's literally, it's the camel shit.
And you know what the problem is?
Diarrhea.
The Westerns are literally joining them because they're too scared of them.
Yeah.
And of course, we're speaking about the extremists.
Yusuf reminds me, as the Conor McGregor version of the Arab Israeli who want to go and just debate everyone. Bring it on, yeah, Habibi, bring it on. And I love that. But guys, I want to drop something that is crazy because I'm not going to miss this opportunity. Not every day I get to have a stream like this with 3 Israeli Arabs that understand the Middle East probably more than some people outside. And we're going to drop some things that are going to be very interesting because I'm pretty sure that me and Yusuf and Khalifa think the same about this. And there's a lot of people right now watching this video live. Please share, like, spread this voice.
Well, so I'm just laughing because I saw someone says it's too graphic, your description.
It's too graphic.
We heard of the golden shower.
The next one is going to be even more graphic. America attacking in Iran. America is joining right now. Israel goes and literally kick ass in Iran, opens the door in the craziest operation. There was one guy named Aziz that had one job, to press on a red button. 1,000 rockets should be launched. He was sitting there waiting. Israel called all of his commanders, one room, took them down. Aziz is waiting. No one is coming. Mossad comes in. Completely. Israel defeated Iran in 4 hours, but took Russia still 3 years and they can't do it. It's crazy what's happening. Clearly, an evil regime. America finally comes, join the battle, drop the bomb to stop the nuclear facility. And now everybody in the West is calling, okay, let's call for ceasefire. It's done. They want to use this nuclear power to go to space with Elon Musk and I don't know what. They're calling for ceasefire when the Iranian regime is on its knees. Now, I wonder, what does Yusuf have to say about that?
Let me tell you a very simple analysis to that. And we spoke about it before we started the stream. Let's go back to World War II when America, Britain, and its allies defeated the Nazis and their allies. Imagine if America and Britain would stop and say, okay, we won. Now let's make a ceasefire. Hitler stays in power, despite the fact that he's defeated and weak. Now, I want to ask you, if he stays in power, despite the fact that he's defeated and weak, do you think he will neglect his mission for the final solution? Hitler would have waited for the right moment to gain power again and to gain strength again and to do the same thing once again to eventually arrive to the final solution. This is Ali al-Khamenei and the IRGC. Those exactly are the same material. And this is why I am telling you, we've defeated Iran, the Iranian regime, I should say. It's very hard for me to say Iran, by the way, because the Iranian people, the majority of them is literally with Israel. So we should really consider saying all the time the Iranian regime, not the Iranian people. So we've defeated the Iranian regime. We destroyed them. Again, I don't know how much I can speak freely, but we made them, maximum you put a beep on it, we made them our bitches.
Freely,
Okay?
yeah.
We totally made the Iranian regime our bitches. Point. I mean,
Do you know
the
why
Israeli
Khomeini,
Air
you know
Force.
why Khomeini wears a brown shirt? I always say why Khomeini wears a brown dress? To hide his shit, because he's shitting his pants right now. You know, like that's the reason. We completely humiliate him, and that is the key. To defeat
Absolutely.
radical Islam, guys, you need
Exactly.
not
So let's go through, because there's a lot of propagandists talking about the fact that Iran is winning, and all the AI videos of destroying Ben Gurion airport and Azrieli towers are completely destroyed, and Tel Aviv looks like Gaza, and all this nonsense and bullshit. So let's put the facts, okay? The fact is that until today, and we're about 11-12 days into the war, not even one senior Israeli, whether politician or from the IDF, was attacked or, of course, eliminated, while we've been attacking and eliminating all their seniors. And I promise you, I don't know what's going on with Ali al-Khamenei, but if Israel wants, Israel can and will eliminate Ali al-Khamenei. We know where he is. We know where he is. I mean, the Mossad
We're saving him last.
is very, very well knows exactly what's going on. But there's two things that I can show you who's actually winning. The first one is just in the last 2 days, the Iranian foreign minister had to ask and request the IDF to fly out of Iran. They needed a permission from us. If Iran is winning, in fact, they would have just flew. But they needed the permission from the IDF. Understand the humiliation of the IRGC to request from the IDF a permission to go outside and to go to Russia. That's number one. And the second evidence is facts only, as I like always, that we are winning, while tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Iranians are fleeing Tehran and the surrounding areas. You have over 150,000 Israelis are begging Israel to come back to Israel. If we are losing and if Israel is becoming like Gaza, not only you won't see 150,000 Israelis begging to come back, but you will see millions of Israelis are becoming a refugee and they're running from Israel. So this is all the truth. Stop believing all the nonsense around the social media. And as for Ali al-Khamenei, I've started and I said what I said about Hitler. Khamenei and its regime will never stop from getting the nuclear bomb. And they want to do two things. Destroy the little devil to control and occupy the Middle East in order for them to battle the big devil, the United States and the Western world. This is exactly what they want to do. Therefore, we can destroy their nuclear sites. We can destroy their channels. We can destroy their facilities, their government offices. We can kill and eliminate all the senior officials. But if they stay in power, by God, I tell you, they have the patience to wait even years after years after years after years after years, but they will never neglect the idea of destroying Israel, occupying the Middle East, and then destroying the big devil, which is the United States. And they will never, ever neglect the fact that they want a nuclear bomb to achieve that. They will have the patience to do that. And the only way to maintain and to ensure the safety of the Israeli people, both Arabs and Jews, and to make sure the safety of the Middle East and the Western world, is the elimination of the IRGC and freeing the Iranian people. And yes, if we want to be that empire in the Middle East, I'm telling you, Khalifa, and I'm telling you, Mansour, We need to make a regime change in Iran. This is the only way to free Iran, to free the people of Iran, and this is the only way to ensure our future and the future of the Middle East, and in fact, as I said, the future of the entire Western world. Point.
And we need
Any other, sorry, Mansour, any other solution, you were only delaying again another battle, and instead of us finishing the job, we're going to put that to the next generation and the next generation to deal with that. It's about time for us to stop being weak and stop being, the kind of, because I hear a lot of senior officials, from former senior officials from the IDF and from the government talking about ceasefire, talking about being just weak. Oh, let's go for ceasefire. We got what we want. No, we did not get what we want. And in fact, if you are so scared, then don't be on TV. Stay at home. Don't speak and don't tell your commentary about it. Stay home if you're scared, because we must finish the job. I don't want our next generation to deal with it. I want the next generation to deal on how we can strengthen the Israeli society and make Israel even better and bigger and stronger and as an integral key part of the Middle East. And the only way to do it, to ensure that there's no more Iranian regime.
And I will even add to that, Yusuf, you need to البهدلهن, not only defeat them, they need to
absolutely.
بهدلي guys.
والله صح.
You need to humiliate.
بس بيفهموها جزء من المجتمع اليهودي, part of the Jewish society in Israel, not all, yes, part of the Jewish society in Israel do not understand that mentality. I sit down with them on the studios, in the channels, in different channels in Israel, and when I speak our mentality, and my mentality is not, I'm not crazy. I am not extreme. I do not want to blow the whole world. No. Certainly, I want peace. But when it comes to our enemies, when it comes to our enemies in the Middle East, we need to speak the language of the Middle East. We need to put them down on their knees, beg us to stop. This is the only way to make sure the 7th of October won't happen, because they will realize it's not working for us. The only reason why the 7th of October happened and why they're still saying that we want to do the 8th of October and the 1,000,000 of October is because despite the full destruction in Gaza, despite the fact that Palestinians are being used as human shields, and because of that they are dying under the ruling of Hamas, and because of Hamas, they are still portraying this as win. When you portray this as win, and when you as Israel allow them to arrive to this understanding, then they will understand that they're winning despite the fact that they're being destroyed. And that's why they're going to say, you know what, let's do another 7th of October. We won the 7th of October, so let's do another 7th of October. Same for the Iranian regime. That's why we need to bring our mentality to the mainstream Israeli society, but we need to be careful. At one side, to bring the mentality against our enemies, show them no mercy, but on the other hand, come and say, we want peace, but we believe in peace from the power of from the place of strength and power. And because of that, anyone who wants to send his hand and to shake it very firmly and to go for peace, I will extend my hand as well, and I will shake it even harder for peace. But if you want to send your hand to hit me, I will cut your hand. This is the mentality that we need to bring between Western mentality to Middle Eastern mentality, and balance between them here in the Middle East and in Israel.
Exactly. People need to understand that when you're trying to defeat radical Islam in the Arab world, it doesn't mean anything if you feel that you defeated them. They need to be seen as defeated in the eyes of their families, in the eyes of their neighbors, in the eyes. They don't care about what you think in Switzerland. They don't care what they think in Denmark. They care what they think in Yemen. They care what they think in Saudi Arabia. They hate Saudi Arabia so much. Now, if they get battled in front of Saudi Arabia, that's the worst thing. All the Arab world would laugh at them, would call them a joke. And that's why you should not stop right now. It's an evil Nazi regime, and it should be destroyed. And by the way, someone here asked if Yosef is a veteran. So yes, Yosef was an officer in the IDF. I was an officer in the IDF. Khalifa was in a special unit in the RAF. Very, very good with dogs.
I was actually also injured in the Second Lebanon War when I fought Hezbollah. And I think it's time also to give a little bit of statistic around the 2006 war, the Second Lebanon War. You know, a lot of people do not remember or do not know that 44 Israeli civilians were killed from Hezbollah missiles. Almost 50% of them were Arab Muslims. Okay, like the missiles do not differentiate between Arabs and Jews here. If you're in Israel, you are target of the terrorist organization. And one more story I have with you. I was in Binjbil. It's a village in southern Lebanon. You know, I am coming as an IDF soldier, coming to occupy temporarily the village of Binjbil in order for us to defeat Hezbollah. So you expect hostility from the residents in Binjbil. Now, a lot of the residents in Binjbil evacuated once we entered, but some did not have the time to evacuate or did want to evacuate, so they stayed in their houses. I, as one who speak Arabic, I was among the first one to enter the houses that people were staying there, Lebanese were staying there. And because I speak Arabic, I had an encounter with the family, Lebanese families. Do you know what they told me? And this is what made me even more believe in my cause. I believed that when I decided to join the IDF and volunteer in the IDF. But every year I passed, and even today, until today, every year I get more and more strengthened in my ideology because I see the reality. And one of the key points were in that second Lebanon war in Lebanon, when I entered one of the houses. Of course, we entered. It's part of the procedure that we need to take control of the house. So you think that, okay, you are a stranger coming to, by force, take the house, take control of the house. Do you know what the father of that house told me?
What?
When I came and he realized that I speak Arabic, he said to me this sentence: if you think that Hezbollah is terrorizing only the Israelis, then you have no idea what they are doing to the Lebanese.
Wow.
Kill them. Destroy them. He said that to an Arab soldier in the IDF. This made me believe more and more in my cause, to the level that I was full of energy and full of faith with what I'm doing. That I knew that I'm doing the right thing, not only for the Israeli people, because I'm doing it also for the Lebanese people. This is the truth that nobody wants to talk about, but that's the truth.
I think it's worth mentioning for the sake of our listeners, not our viewers, that you have an Iranian flag pre the revolution in '79 next to the Israeli flag, and it's not so uncommon to see it in the West world, like in the Western world, in demonstrations in London, in Germany, in every place, and this is here what, like, I think, in my opinion, here's the humiliation part that goes in. Like, we are saving Ali Khamenei for last to see everything he built for the past 40 years collapsing in front of him.
I really hope, Khalifa. I really hope that Israel won't blow this up and they will eliminate him, because the voices of those who are usually have the how can I say it, the spirit of being defeated in Israel are starting to speak out loud now. So I really hope that we will silence them in order for us to finish the job for our next generation. So I really cross my fingers for what you're saying.
Well, you're doing your job. Everybody are trying to translate the Arab world to the Jewish and the Israeli community over here, and you are a huge part of this consciousness shift. Like, where did we start it in October 7, and we are standing here. Like, actions speak louder than words, and we winning against those evil forces is doing its act.
And by the way, Khalifa, just before I went on this stream, I saw a video clip of an Arab Iraqi who's a commentator, a political commentator, and they spoke about the situation in the Middle East, and they said we need to stop and listen to Al Jazeera and all the other channels who are putting on our head fake news and fake commentary, and of course what they analyze about Israel. Because he said, I always believed that Israel will never fight for so long, because Israeli people don't want war for so long. I always thought, according to Al Jazeera and other mainstream media channels in the Arab world, that Israel is afraid of getting bombed in Tel Aviv and in the center of Israel for so long. I heard that Israel will not tolerate of hearing about IDF soldiers being injured in the battle war every day. That's what he said. And I heard that Israelis are not willing to do that. That's why they will give up, and that's why we will gain control of it. But then he says, I see something different. I see the Israeli people are fighting over 624 days and they are not stopping. They are moving from Hamas to Iraq, to Syria, to Lebanon, to Yemen, and now to Iran, and they are not stopping. And I see that that Iran is literally now bombing them. It's not Hezbollah and Hamas with their Qassam and their whatever. This is ballistic missiles that destroys entire neighborhood. Even I've been in almost all the sites. I've seen it on my own eyes, and yet the Israelis are not giving up. Soldiers, unfortunately, our dear soldiers from all communities, we have a lot of them since the 7th of October, are not with us. Those heroes. Again, from all communities who have fallen in battle, and a lot of them also injured. Yet the IDF has a full spirit to continue and to fight, and even more than that. Here's what they didn't even know, and I know the truth. I visited so many wounded soldiers. Over 2,000 of them, by the way, were injured twice. 3 times went back to battle.
Wow.
Do you understand? This is an actual statistic from Israel. Over 2,000 IDF soldiers injured not once, but twice. And they went back to serve for the 3rd time, and they're still fighting. Do you understand? Do you understand how crazy is this, and why you have no chance of winning? You have no chance of winning. Understand, whatever they told you about Israel, it's completely 180% the opposite. And main reason, or reason number 1 is because our enemies hear a lot of what the rubbish and the stupidity that they say on the news channels, and not what on the surface, not what's on the ground.
There's 2 rules, like there's 2 sentences in this regard. The first one in the Middle East, بيكذبوا الكذبة وبيصدقوها. They tell the lie and then they believe their own lies.
صح.
And the second thing is الحكي فش عليه جمرك. Speaking, you can't collect taxes from speaking, so everybody is speaking their lies every day. So people.
You sound like my mom now, Khalifa. You sound like my mom. Every time she throws these ancient Arabic phrases.
You're throwing Arabic phrases here. I might just throw Arabic phrases, not even considering the topic. I always unrelated to the topic. I always maybe it is related, because to those people I always say اللي مش عاجبه يروح يبلط البحر. or as Yasser Arafat would say, اللي مش عاجبه يروح يشرب من بحر غزة, من مية غزة.
Exactly. But I wanted to, now you represent much more mainstream voices, concepts, but I guess the time that you decided to go to the army, it wasn't that mainstream for you as Christian to do it. So I'm really curious how you had I don't think that you imagined your career to be what you are doing right now. So I wonder, how did everything started from the army?
Well, I'm smiling because I did imagine my career to be like this since I was actually a kid. This is what I wanted. There were two dreams: do what I do now, or being a football player. Okay, so I am good at football, but not that good. So I knew that this dream will not come true. But I definitely knew that I want to do something. Everyone who knows me from when I was a little kid is not surprised that I'm doing what I'm doing today. They knew that this is something that was burning inside me, and it started even when I was a kid. Look, when I was a kid, I used to play football in a neighborhood called Kiryat Eliezer in Haifa, and Haifa is one of the biggest, largest mixed city in Israel. And you have Druze, you have Muslims, you have Christians, and of course you have Jews in that city. And because you have so many communities, I can say the tapestry of the Israeli society is in Haifa. When we used to play football, all of us used to play together: Christian, Muslims, Druze, and Jews. So we grew up like this, and we did not care this guy is an Arab, this guy is a Jew. We just wanted to play football together. And this is something that really made us even closer. And because it made us closer as friends, then we got to know the culture and the traditions and the language of each other. My Hebrew was stronger. My Jewish friends had a better Arabic. I knew about the Druze community traditions and culture. I knew about the Muslim culture and traditions of the Muslim community. Of course, I know about mine. And of course, I know more and more about the Jewish community, a lot even more. We would used to invite each other during the holidays. Jewish friends and Muslim and Druze friends would come to my house during Christmas to Nazareth. I would go to Eid al-Adha, whether it is to the Druze community or the Muslim community, and the Jews and the Druze and the Muslims and the Christians would go to the Passover dinner with our Jewish friends. This made us even closer together. And then there's 2 points that I can remember that I understood that I want to do what I do. At one point, I was in Nazareth, and one of my friends came to me and said to me, Yosef, why do you like the Jews so much? You know, they are racist and they don't want us here, and they don't care about us. And I said to him, look, you're only in Nazareth, and people must understand, Nazareth is used to be the largest Arab city in Israel. Today it's Rahat. But in Nazareth, you have everything. You don't need even to learn Hebrew. You can be in Nazareth the entire of your life, knowing only Arabic, and you can live in Nazareth, and you have all the things that you need. What I'm trying to say here is that you can be in Nazareth without even having one Jewish friend. And when you consume your knowledge and your news from anti-Israel channels like Al Jazeera or other channels in the Arab world, you eventually have in your head the propaganda that they're spreading into you. And then that friend comes to me and says to me, why you like the Jews like that? And I said, first of all, I like my Jewish friends, and I like my Muslim friends, and I like my Druze friends, and of course I like my Christian friends. It's not because it's you. But if you want actually to know why I'm like this, I said to him, you like to play football. Come with me to Haifa. Ask your parents if you can come to me to Haifa. He actually got the permission, and he came with me to Haifa. And to that, I give him a credit that he didn't say no. He said, okay, I will come. We played football together. Okay. On the way back, yes, it's bus number 331. Yeah. You go from Haifa back to Nazareth. We are sitting down next to each other. Now he tells me this sentence, and this changed a lot in me. I'm telling you, there's a lot of key points in my life that not maybe changed, but strengthened more my belief. He said to me this, Yosef, I scored goal and Jews jump on me and hug me. I said to him, what are you, stupid? Of course. اكيد شو مفكر انت ايش يعني مفكرين راح خبط جول راح يبزقوا عليك. He was in total shock because he didn't have any Jewish friend until that point. And guess what? He kept coming with me, begging his mom to come with me to play football. Now that's number one. Another point in my life, it was after I finished my rehabilitation. I went to Canada and to Europe and traveled, and I am proud Arab Israeli, and I do not hide it. Okay, so when I go and, for instance, I sleep on a hostel, and you sleep. Back then, I was after the army. I don't have a lot of money, so you don't sleep in a 5-star hotel. You sleep in a hostel in a bunk bed with 10 more people. It's part of the experience of traveling low budget. Exactly. And because I sleep in a hostel with the other 10 people. The people are from all over the world. So you end up having conversation with them. And when you say that you are from Israel, they automatically assume that you are what? A Jew. But I say, no, I'm not a Jew. I'm an Arab. I said, wait, what? You are an Arab? And I remember at one point there was a person from Saudi Arabia who was there as well. And he was speaking to me. So, شو يعني عربي? عربي يهودي? No, not Arabic Jew. No, Arabi. I was like, what do you mean? And we start speaking in Arabic together and explaining to him. The guy had no idea. The guy had no idea about our existence. Now you say, Yosef, okay, that was like about 15 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever. What about today? Unfortunately, because of the propaganda, it's almost the same when it comes to those extremists. Now, of course, you have more ability to share, and more Arabs, especially after the Abraham Accords, are actually, seeing the Israeli society as it is. But still, the propaganda is working very, very, very hard. So when I sat down there with my friends with those travelers from all around the world, and I explained to them about Israel, I wasn't an activist. It was just me as a tourist, but I saw the impact. And I saw how people came to me and said, look, I did not know a lot of the things, and you changed a lot of things about what I believe about Israel. I knew, you see, there's like key points in my life that brought me to 2018 to start doing what I do. But without those key points, I would not arrive to the decision in 2018. So all my life, I knew that eventually I will come to that place. And that's exactly how I started. That's how everything was started, from the inside of my heart. And yes, as I said, I am an emotional person. People who watches my debates sees that. Even today in our talk, you see me. I speak with my hands. I move a lot.
Don't say.
My voice and everything. This is who we are, by the way. This is not just me. It's also you, Khalifa, and it's also you, Mansour, and a lot of the Arab in the Middle East are like this. This is who we are. This is who we are. And because we speak like this, I have, like, you have those emotionals, useful idiots without facts, and you have the emotionals with the facts. When you are emotional, but then you are a useful idiot without a fact, and you have facts, you win all the time. That's it. And one last thing I want to add is that I also know how to cut my emotion, when I don't have the facts. Okay? I cut my emotion because I don't have the facts, and I try to find a solution to it. This is why I think, at least, it's very hard to win a debate against me, because I don't have a problem to say, you know what? You are right in that matter. But can you say that I'm right on the other matters? That's the key point.
Exactly. And, you were talking about facts and separating between facts and emotions. We're going a little bit back, but just so people can understand this war, who is winning and who's losing. Iran have launched about 1,000 drones into Israel. Maybe, I think, less than 10, or I don't know, less than 3, 1, 0.
No, let me tell you. 1,100 drones, 950 of them even shot down before arrived Israel. 100 of them arrived to Israel. One only hit a house, a civilian house in Israel. Exactly. 1,100 drones and only one hit with no injuries.
Exactly. More than 500, maybe 600 missiles and rockets. And Israel have less than 30 people, only civilians, who got killed. Now, again, a tragedy at all, but just to get the picture, not a single IDF, not a single commander. Their strategic winning is shooting cluster bombs in civilian areas, and even there, barely managing to scratch Israel. I've been to the bomb shelters in Israel right now in my trip. People playing guitars. Right now, my friends in Israel, Batya, they put like a iksigul on the floor.
And what do the Arabs say? Huh? Oh, look at them running like cowards, like as if it's a bad thing to go to the shelter and to protect yourself. By the way, here's something in terms of mentality that we have the responsibility. Yes, I speak about us, by the way. We have the responsibility to explain to the Western world the mentality of if a Western shows or see that Israelis are going to the bomb shelter to protect themselves, they will say, oh my God, this is the right thing to do, to go to protect yourself. But in the Arab world, it's an act of cowardness. Cowardness. And I say to those people who think that protecting yourself and going to the bomb shelter is act of cowardness, you are an absolute idiot. Yes. You go die, حبيبي. ولك والله إلى جهنم على الجحيم إن شاء الله وقبل بساعة كمان.
Well, but those idiots are idiots. But for me, one of the things that really made me angry was on October 7th, a video of Bassem Youssef. Now he's not an idiot. He's a brain surgeon. He's a comedian. He speaks very well fluent.
He's a useful idiot. He's a useful idiot.
No, he's malicious. He's
not
evil.
A useful idiot. He's a useful jihadist.
No, he's a jihadist. He's evil.
Useful jihadist. It's the next level. Useful.
Exactly.
I agree. I'll take that correction. He's a useful jihadist. Absolutely.
I tell you why. Because he made a video that spread over the Arabic channels, and he said, "My wife is Palestinian. I'm with you guys. No matter," like he said, no matter what the fact is, I'm with you. Okay. And he said, now I need you to hide those stories about beheading people and the rapes. these sort of things make us look bad, so let's emphasize on other things. And that's exactly what he said in the video, and that made me furious. Come on, like I said, like, don't let the facts confuse you. Is that what you're trying to say? And that was such a malicious act.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something else. He was on Paris Morgan, and I was furious like you when I saw that Paris Morgan, who has zero understanding of the Middle East, did not even tackle him one time. Look, Paris Morgan asked Bassem Youssef. He said, "Do you condemn Hamas, or do you think that Hamas is a terrorist organization?" Do you know what was his answer? He didn't say yes or no. He said, "By the advice of my lawyer, I should say, yes, they're a terrorist organization." Now, I ask you a very simple question. Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, it's on air. Like you can see what I'm saying right now. Maybe the quote is not one by one, but the idea of it is this.
This is like Nazi Germany had lawyers. This is like Nazi Germany had
exactly,
lawyers.
exactly,
Now they
exactly.
come-
It's exactly like this. But you know what the problem is? I don't have a problem with Yusuf. I expect that from him. He's a jihadist. You said it yourself. He is. So, but what I didn't understand is that literally after that, Piers Morgan said to him, "You know, I have respect for you." That's what he said to Bassem Youssef. And I say, "You have respect for whom? A terror supporter, a jihadist? Seriously, this is the person that you have respect." Instead of telling him, wait, why are you telling me by the advice of your lawyers? So you actually do not condemn Hamas, and you actually support Hamas. He never tackled him. He never challenged him. And this is not only that. Several times Piers Morgan hosted anti-Israel propagandists, pro-Palestinians, even from Gaza, spreading fake news, and he is not. He doesn't have the ability to tackle them because he has no knowledge and no understanding of the Middle East. And that's why you have so many brainwashed Westerns that actually are against Israel, not knowing that they are next. They are next. Now it's Israel, Palestine. What will happen when it will be something about Germany or something about Britain or something about Italy or America? You see them, they are burning American flags in the name of Hamas. They're burning Britain flags in the name of Hamas.
It's crazy.
Germany.
It's crazy. Germany have lost. Although in Germany they're waking up. In
Germany is much better.
as
I've seen the
instruments.
cup. Yes. In Germany, they're much better, definitely. But look at what happens in France.
The cops here are breaking their legs.
Yeah. To the credit of the German police, you're right. But look at what happened in France. Look what happened in Britain. Look what happened in Sweden. In Sweden, they don't even have the bravery to go in some of the areas. Some of the areas are controlled by literally Sharia laws.
Yeah, by
literally.
We have more rockets and grenades in some cities in Sweden thrown into houses than in Mosul. This is like how insane. Welcome, Radical Islam. Fadl, Habibi, come to Germany. You know, that's the reality.
Welcome to Germany, Habibi. Anjad.
The fertile soils of jihadist Islam.
Let's go back to Iran. Let's go back to Iran for a second.
Yeah.
You know, we just had right now, I've read that Israel, saw a video, Israel shot a rocket into a prison door of people who were in prison. Yeah. This is, so I really hope these guys can escape right now. You know, it's like no one is saying it, but please, the Iranian people, I pray that you guys wake up.
I said it, and I will say it again. If we do not finish the job, if we do not do a revolution like in Syria, we are only again postponing the inevitable, which is Iran will get a nuclear bomb again, or try to get a nuclear bomb again, and we were going to try to go to war. And yes, you're right. They launched an attack. Israel, the IDF, launched an attack on that prison where they held all the opposition Iranians. And more than that, and I guess, guys, you're gonna understand me more than anybody else. You know, they have the square of Palestine, and they put a clock showing the clock of how much time left for Israel. We bombed the hell of that clock. The clock is no more there. And this is a very key information for every Western and every Israeli who is listening to us. It is a symbol of the Iranian regime. And when you hit that symbol, you're saying to the Iranian people, your regime is weak. Time to go and do a revolution. It's even bigger than striking the prison, and the prison have actual opposition. But in terms of the people and the mentality of the Middle East, striking such a symbol of the Iranian regime, where they proudly say, this is the clock, this is when Israel is going to be destroyed, and Israel comes and says, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
No, you are the
Yeah.
one who is counting down. This makes a lot of impact. And you know, some of Israelis do not understand why I'm so enthusiastic about it and happy that we strike also the that clock, because it is send a message in the mentality of the Middle East about how weak the regime is, and that it is your time to do the job as well.
It is. You know what? I don't know if they will ever have such a time like now, because the West have a tendency to move on. Few weeks ago, they were all about the Druze in Syria. Now they forgot about them. Now the jihadists are still trying to go and kill the Druze. Now they went and bombed the church. All the world will talk about for 2-3 days. We'll start forgetting about it. Iran, right now, the regime is the weakest that it was ever been, and might be even ever will be. And unless you guys will be brave to go and reclaim your country, you'll see that maybe the West will come and start joining. But if you don't do anything, the West will move on to the next thing. Tomorrow is going to be Ukraine. I don't know what.
Imagine the Shah taking power again, and then have a democratic election. Do you understand what we're going to have here?
Wow.
You're going to have Iran, the best and closest ally with Israel. And then you have already the Abraham Accords with UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Sudan, and Morocco. And everybody will forget the 7th of October. I promise you. The second we move on, they will forget the 7th of October and what happened in Gaza. This is the mentality. And then you will have Saudi Arabia joining, and then you will have, I would call it a cold peace with Syria and Lebanon, because there's a lot of blood between Israelis and between the Syrian and Lebanese. So we'll take a little bit more time. So we will start from a cold peace, and then we're going to move up and warm it a little bit time by time. So it's not going to be like the UAE. The UAE was like immediately. Why? Because the government, once the government said something, the whole people are aligned with it, no matter what. And the fact is that we never attacked UAE. UAE never attacked us. There was no blood between us. So it's a bit different between UAE, Bahrain, and of course Morocco, to Syria and Lebanon. But I really believe that if we do this thing, this massive change in the Middle East, we can certainly see that first steps of that peace between Lebanon and Syria and Israel, and then little bit, step by step, it's getting warmer and warmer into the position where us guys, we can go to Beirut and have Layali Beirut and the Knafi, and they can come here, Lebanese come here and celebrate even at the gay prides, because there's so many of them as well in Lebanon, yeah?
Also in the Islamic regime of Iran, these goat funkers there. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of gay people in that regime over there. But you're so right. But this can come only with power and respect. And that people don't understand in the Middle East. When you show power, you start building. And Israel should start behaving like a local powerhouse in the Middle East. And nobody cares about Samantha or Monica sitting in a woke Starbucks with purple hair. Forgive me if you're Samantha and Monica and you're not woke. Nobody cares about what she thinks right now on her laptop, because she will be
Karen, you need to say Karen. Karen is the name.
What is that?
Karen.
Nobody cares about the woke Karen that is there. My favorite thing, I want one day to bring a real hardcore Karen and a real hardcore woke Karen, put them in the same room. You're going to get a fusion. Iran, if you want to build a nuclear facility, bring a woke Karen and a real Karen, put them under.
And you will have the bomb immediately.
Let them argue about customer service. Man, you're going to have right now all of Iran with like this.
Wallahi.
Nobody cares about these idiots. They have no idea about the Middle East. They have no idea about what's going to happen today. They don't remember even what they ate for breakfast. They literally lost their mind. People in the Middle East, I'm telling you right now, we are telling you here, there's a chance here to reshape the Middle East to become better for all of our children. All of our children. People from Iran.
Happening.
I saw a beautiful picture today. I saw a beautiful picture, AI, but beautiful, showing an Iranian woman in an Iranian dress, a Jewish woman in a Jewish dress, an American woman in an American dancing together. And I said, what a beautiful thing. And you know what it reminds me? What a badass move. What a Batusik move from Israel, that so many of our fighter pilots are females. Females with their hair exposed, going around and I shared the actual footage of the pilot where her face was censored. Wow.
And I said, how ironic that while the Iranian regime is literally just attacking and molesting and literally just making sure that women's in Iran are being, down to the earth and
flocking them. Yeah.
yes,
Humiliated.
and humiliating. That's what the word I was looking for. Like literally humiliating them and persecuting them. And then a female Israeli IDF fighter sends bombs to the IRGC and send them to hell. I mean, can't be that more perfect than this. It's like really that's the perfect world that I want to be in.
Crazy. You see a female pilot.
That's the divine justice.
You see a male mechanic, saluting her, and she says, "Ya Habibi," and then she goes, "Wallah, Iran, here I come."
Doing her fingernails while doing that.
Yeah. On the way, me and Khalifa were talking about the B-15, the B-2 when they were coming, to attack in Iran, and we said like 18 hours flight. What do you do in 18 hours? Like they take shifts. Are you playing Sudoku? You're playing Tetris? Like you go to the bathroom, you wake up. When you come, you drop, you change history, you go back. I wonder if there was a female pilot. That would be the most awesome thing.
Yeah. There was a female pilot. There was a female pilot. To my knowledge, there was a female pilot in those air flights. Yeah.
That would be
and I tell you, it's not surprising. I mean, listen. After the 7th of October, put for a second the West, and let's specifically speak about our fighters, not only on the jets but on the ground. Guys, on the 7th of October, I know about the stories of some of the female commanders, fighters on the ground, that they had a 1-on-1 or even 1-on-10 battle with terrorists, with Hamas terrorists, and our female fighters completely destroyed those men terrorists, monsters. So it shows you, and there's one story of a female commander, Israeli female commander, who was a commander over male soldiers, And she defended her soldiers and eventually kept fighting and killed and eliminated so many of the terrorists from the Nukhba, until unfortunately the Nukhba came with more mass number and eventually managed to kill her. But she is brave, and what she did for her soldier and what she did for our country is unbelievable. So any debate about whether females can be fighters is just gone.
Listen, guys,
absolutely gone.
History in the making in this screen right now. Capture it. You just saw 3 Arab men glorifying women fighters and how awesome they are that they went and kicked ass of other men. Where will you see 3 Arab رجال Islam واقفين هنا يقولوا these women are amazing, these women I admire them, kissing their tuches for being so awesome? Where would you see Arab men that support women so much and lift them? Let me tell you where. Yusuf, you tell them. Where would you see that? In Israel. In Israel. That's where you'd see that. And that is for all the idiot apartheid numbskulls around the world. Wake up before it's too late. Only chance for peace in the Middle East is Israel. Israel is not the problem. Israel is the solution and the only hope for peace in the Middle East.
Mansour, I'm afraid we need to wrap this thing up. Yosef is very busy and he has a lot of fights.
I have to be honest with you, Khalifa. I have to be honest with you. I swear to you, I'm already about 12 minutes out of my time. I have to run to the studio. I have a broadcast now, but I had such a good time with you guys that I didn't even care. So I will rush myself, but I really enjoyed speaking with you guys. And this is also my opportunity to say to both of you, you're doing an absolutely amazing job, really amazing job. I said it once and I will say it again. I see what you upload. I take quite a few things that you are presenting on your social media, and I bring it to the Israeli TV and I put it on the Israeli channels, because I think that your voices is very important, and I think what you are bringing is very important to show the Israeli society, to show the Western world, and to show to the Arab world the reality of what's going on here. Keep doing that. I promise you my support, and I promise you I will try as much as possible to bring your voices to the people as much as possible as well. I really thank you. شكرا من كل القلب. عم تعملوا انتم شغل رهيب رهيب رهيب، وانا بظهركم كل اللي بدكم اياه.
واحنا معاك يا اخي، واحنا معاك كلنا هنا مع بعض. شكرا يوسف. Thank you so much, brother. You're a legend, the GOAT, the Conor McGregor of the Arab debate. You're the GOAT, man.
Definitely.
Love you guys. بحبكم كثير. الى اللقاء.
بحبك كثير. مع السلامة.
Thank you. Bye bye.